thousands of people have mysteriously vanished in America's wilderness. Join us as we dive into the deep end of the unexplainable and try to piece together what happened. You are listening to Locations Unknown. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Locations Unknown. I'm your co-host, Joe Irado, and with me, as always, is a guy with the heart the size of a basketball that's filled with ricotta cheese, Mike Vandebogart.
Oh, thank you, Joe. That's Bill Brasky.
Bill Brasky, yes.
The legendary Bill Brasky.
The legendary Bill Brasky.
No, thank you, Joe, and thank you once again to all of our amazing listeners for tuning in this week. Just a few updates before we get going. First, we've got a lot of Patreon shout-outs to get to. So, Ashley Rayner, Karis, Kara Knutson, Rihanna Thomason, Greg, Jillian Lazzarini, sorry about that, Grant Ritter, Jill Sens, Lazzarini, there you go. Tina Gatewood, Katie Jo Williams, Renee Vorak, Richard Strack, Hoyt McCain, and Susan Soto. So, thank you so much for supporting the show. We're excited, Joe and I. We're getting some new audio equipment in here, hopefully by next episode.
Yeah. Hold it up. You have it right there, ready to go.
Yeah, right here.
We're just looking at it.
We
got to set it up and program it.
New mixer for the table.
Throw it over here.
Yeah, throw it over here. Yeah. We've got some brand new microphones coming in. So
all the fun toys.
And we wouldn't be able to do it without the amazing support of all of our Patreon supporters and everyone else that listens to the show. If you want to call the show and leave a voicemail, you can call 208-391-6913. We've got some other interesting podcasts on our network. So Off the Trails, who runs this park, Crime Off the Grid. We've got a couple new ones coming on board soon.
We got one that's real close and one that we just are going to sign in the next couple days.
So yeah, new shows coming on. And if you want to support our show, we've got obviously our Patreon account, YouTube memberships, premium subscriptions on Apple and Spreaker. We've got a store that sells some stuff. You can buy that. Joe's wearing one of our hats tonight. So
I had my hair was really bad. So I had the hat sitting there. I was like, I need to wear this.
It's our communal hat.
Yeah.
So outside of that, not a whole lot going on, right, Joe?
There's almost nothing going on that's new about the show that has anything of relevance.
Joe, obviously Joe will go briefly into it, and we're gonna do a Patreon episode next on it, and then we're gonna be done talking about it.
Yeah. So if you're not on socials, we posted a video 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like a couple days before Crime Junkies released their latest episode, which I'll be nice. You should go listen to it, and then if you were wondering why we released a 4-part series on Gwen Hasselquist, we released that when they released that episode too, because we were the ones who broke that case, and they actually picked that case up and did a whole story on it. We were a little upset that they didn't, source us as the source. And for some of you who are confused, we're not saying they can't do the episode, but we're just saying that we originated this story. It's not like we found it and we repost it like podcasts do. There's only 3 podcasts that did this story. Us, because we broke it. The Luminal podcast, who called us and asked us for permission. We said absolutely, and they credited us. And then Crime Junkies took all of our research. They did a great job. They summarized the episode into about an hour. But they just didn't source us, which it's fine. But lots more detail in the 4 episodes that we did. So if you didn't listen to it and were wondering why, that's why we released that, just to give you a more in-depth view into the story. And as we'll explain more on Patreon, there's some sources that Crime Junkies doesn't have because we didn't publish them, and we have some more information that we're putting together. So you want to learn more about that? You're going to have to be a Patreon subscriber. Promise it's not a money grab, but we don't have a lot of information we can give on the live air just yet.
Yes.
So
So that's that.
That's a little description of what's going on.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it one more time on the Patreon episode because we haven't really talked about it, and then we're going to be done because there's nothing else we can do about it.
And I do want to end on saying I am glad it's getting traction.
Yeah.
So Like outside of all the stuff we talked about, we've always wanted that story to get big, and by having the biggest true crime podcast do that story, it's going to get big. So we're very happy that that's happening. So are Gwen's friends and family.
Exactly.
All right, everybody, let's gear up and get out to explore locations unknown. November 12th, 2012. An avid runner and hiker fails to report into work after going hiking at the Confederate Breastworks Trail in George Washington National Forest. After only a few personal items were found, we were left with more questions than answers. Join us this week as we investigate the disappearance of Robert Fitzgerald. All right.
Someday we should just like when we hit it big. one of the episodes we'll have like the theme music done live.
Yeah.
Because I was scrolling through.
Most people don't see what we're doing.
No,
the sound is
Joe
off.
is faking a violin.
We are always doing really dumb
But
crap.
no, I was just scrolling mindlessly through Instagram the other day, and I came across a video of this band. Remember the music back in the day? If you were on hold, like like
yes.
Well, they do that song live.
I think I've seen this video. I think you shared it with me.
I might have.
Where they're like a live show and they're playing it verbatim.
Yeah.
Like yes.
They were at a
music. So good.
They were at a music festival where they played it for like 8 hours straight, and it's just hilarious. So we got to someday do that. When we hit the big time.
Yeah, we'll get a like the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra to do our breakdown music. If we get big enough and have that kind of money, I think you know me. I'm going to egg you on to do it.
Yeah.
And I'll just annoy you until you cave. It's going to cost us like 50 grand.
Yeah, I don't know what it would cost.
Yeah, like I need 2 minutes recorded at your practice of this song.
Yeah, rent out the symphony.
So anyway, we are going to hear about the story of Robert Fitzgerald.
We've never done a case in Virginia.
Really?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, maybe. We'll find out.
I don't think we have.
Somebody will let us know if we have, and they just
I-
listened to it recently.
They know our show better than we do.
Yeah, where we're going today is the George Washington National Forest, or the sublocation, the Confederate Breastworks Trailhead on the Shenandoah Mountain.
Shenandoah
Mountain. Virginia, as you said. It was established on 5/16 in 1918 as the Shenandoah National Forest and renamed to George Washington National Forest in 1932. It sees roughly 3 million visitors per year. Some interesting facts about Virginia. Virginia received its name from England's Virgin Queen Elizabeth I. More than half of all American Civil War battles were fought in Virginia. The Pentagon, which sits on Virginia soil, is the largest office building in the world. I didn't know that's the largest office building in the world. Is it because it goes down so deep?
I think it's just that big.
That's wild. I would have never guessed that.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't believe that.
I mean, I've seen it in person from the highway. It's big.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking like tall skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if it's because it's like 100 floors deep.
Secret military base.
No, yeah, it's the biggest one you know of with the floors they know about.
It's really big.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to believe you and
Yep.
see what happens. Virginia is home to the second oldest college in the United States. The William and Mary was founded in 1693. Holy cow. I had to slow down. Virginia is sometimes called the birthplace of the nation because the American Revolution was ended with a surrender in Yorktown, Virginia. Williamsburg, Virginia houses the first theater built in America. It was completed in 1716. When Virginia seceded from the Union, the state's residents found themselves divided between Union and Confederate supporters. In protest, 50 Virginian counties split off from the state to form their own state of the West Virginia. Kentucky comes from the land that once belonged to Virginia. In fact, Kentucky used to be Kentucky County, Virginia, until 1792. Berkeley, Virginia, claims to have had the first Thanksgiving 2 years before the Plymouth Thanksgiving in 1621. Ooh, they just didn't have good marketing. That's the problem.
People forget history here in America does go back pretty far.
Yeah, that's wild.
1621 was quite a while ago.
Yeah. Virginia handles roughly 70% of the world's internet traffic through massive data centers under the Pentagon.
Under the Pentagon.
A little bit about the climate in George Washington National Forest. Along the Shenandoah Mountain experiences a humid continental mountain climate where elevation sharply influences temperature and weather patterns. Winters are cold and often harsh, with snow, sleet, and freezing rain common from November through March. Nighttime lows frequently dip into the 20s or lower, that is in Fahrenheit. The strong ridge winds make it feel even colder. Summers are pretty mild compared to the surrounding valleys. Days are usually warm 70s and 80s Fahrenheit, but temperature drops quickly after sunset and mountain thunderstorms can develop with little warning. Autumn brings crisp, dry air and bright foliage, but also shorter days and the first freezes of the season. By early November, overnight temperatures often hover near freezing at the Confederate Breastworks overlook. That is at 3,400 feet in elevation. The region receives about 45 inches of precipitation annually, spread fairly evenly throughout the year, a mix of rain in the warmer months and snow and ice in the winter months. Because Shenandoah Mountain forms a high ridgeline, dense fog and cloud banks often settle over the area, reducing visibility to only a few feet and making navigation difficult even for experienced hikers. During November of 2012, when Robert Fitzgerald went missing, local reports described cold, overcast, drizzling weather with nighttime lows in the teens, conditions that would have created a serious risk of hypothermia or disorientation for anyone exposed overnight. So a little bit about the terrain. The disappearance area sits on the crest of Shenandoah Mountain along US 250 at the Confederate Breastworks or Fort Edward Johnson Overlook Trailhead, a short interpretive loop on a narrow ridge with the Civil War earthworks and immediate access to longer backcountry trails. From the overlook, the Shenandoah Mountain Trail runs the ridgeline, generally gentle and walkable to the top, but it connects to side trails and old drainages, creating quick transitions from easy crest walking to demanding descents. Elevations on the ridge system range roughly between 3,300 feet or 4,300 feet, with narrow wooded corridors and periodic views. Footing varies from dirt to rocky, uneven tread, typical of a ridge and valley terrain. Just east of the ridge lies Ramsey's Draft Wilderness, a landscape explicitly described as rugged and steep, with old-growth, virgin-like forest pockets along the draft, reinforcing how quickly benign river trail can give way to deep, complex hollows.
Ridge trail,
sorry.
Ridge travel.
We'll
get it right.
Eventually. Vegetation on... I had been just hiking like in the middle of the night. I'm still not caught up on my sleep. That's what I did for Veterans Day. I joined my buddy and hiked from midnight to 5 a.m. in a loop, kind of in a city. So it was like... like hiking on a trail and city.
Yes.
So I'm still tired. So vegetation on and below the crest includes mixed hardwoods, which are oaks, maples, and hickories with rhododendrons and dense mountain laurel thickets in places. Brush that can choke visibility and force hand and knee travel off trail. You do not want to be doing that.
No.
Especially if you can't see anywhere. The Jerry's Run connector and nearby sections of the Shenandoah Mountain Trail are noted as remote with long stretches of mature forest and few bailouts. Even where the ridge is easy, the backcountry feel and distance between access points increases consequences for minor navigation errors. So overall, narrow ridge, steep side hollows, thick understory, rocky footing. It's a classic search and rescue challenge and nightmare with limited sightings and sound dampening and rapid terrain changes within small horizontal distances. So it's like just not a place you want to get lost in. And it seems like you can also get stuck in some of the like perfect storm situations where visibility's gone. You're going to have to crawl around. You could accidentally go off these chutes.
Yep.
So just wild hiking.
Yeah, tough place to hike. And I was reading some accounts from people that live there, that hunt in there, and even experienced people that have been hunting their whole lives get lost routinely.
Yeah, that's kind of freaky.
Yeah.
So types of dangers outside of that, we have black bear, white-tailed deer. White-tail's probably not dangerous unless they're like upset and kicking at you. Yeah. Bobcats, coyote, red fox, wild turkey, grouse, hawks, and timber rattlesnakes, as well as northern copperheads. So hazards Robert or anyone hiking the area at that time might encounter. The biggest one would be cold, wet, and wind chill exposure. So hypothermia risk would be very big. As we said, the ridges here run about 10 degrees cooler than the valleys. Winter can bring snow and ice, and wind greatly accelerates heat loss. So short daylight windows would add to this. In Stoughton, which is the closest city, early to mid-November, daylight is only 10 hours, and sun sets near 5:05 to 5:10 p.m. So increasing the after-dark navigation exposure risk. So it's getting dark and hard to see and colder very early.
Yeah.
The adjacent Ramsey's Draft Wilderness is explicitly described as rugged and steep, dense understory and rough trailhead. So off-trail or lesser paths can be choked by mountain laurel rhododendron. We kind of went over that again. Stream crossings can be hazardous, especially if it's cold. So if it's not frozen, you can get wet, and then you have, it can be impassable at high waters in the nearby drainages. So that's the Ramsey's Draft or Jerry's Run. And as we said before, rapid weather shifts. So mountain conditions can change quickly. Ridges often see low clouds or fog, making navigation and visual signal difficult. And lastly, there's limited cell service. So there's sparse bailouts where you can get to areas that have remote coverage, so you don't want to rely on a phone for help or navigation directly, unless you have a downloaded map.
Yeah.
The active hunting seasons in November. Virginia's early muzzleloader or deer season runs in early mid-November. That's where you're like loading one bullet at a time. Old school method. With blaze orange safety strongly recommended around hunters. And then the wildlife encounters. Black bear do remain active into late fall, but they're going to be getting ready for hibernation if they haven't already. And you're going to see timber rattlesnakes are a lot less active, but can emerge on warm days. So outside of that, Mike, you want to give us a little bit about Mr. Fitzgerald?
I was just looking up muzzleloader to make sure that wasn't like just what they called it.
What do you mean?
Well, like you said, where you like drop.
Yeah, you put the gunpowder in, then you put the bullet, but they're like modern. It's not like old school. They make modern ones.
Yeah, so it's flintlock, percussion cap, or inline rifles. So
yeah,
I figured maybe they just called it that, like as a nod to the olden days.
Yeah, they usually give them like a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah,
because it's like really hard to hunt with those, or harder to hunt with those.
All right, so character profile. So the name of tonight's case is Robert Bobby Ray Fitzgerald. Date of birth was April 20th. We're not really sure the year. It wasn't publicly available. His presumed date missing was November 12th of 2012. He was a male, age 60. Body description, he was white Caucasian male, red hair, hazel eyes. He was 5'11", 160 pounds. He had red hair, hazel eyes, like I said. Clothing and gear he was last seen in, unknown. There was some gear found in his car, so he had a flashlight, food, power bars, water, and other hiking supplies, but we don't have a description of what he actually was wearing when he was hiking. Personality, hobbies. He was described by YMCA staff as quiet, soft-spoken, and kind. He was a daily visitor to the Staunton Augusta Family YMCA. There were no publicly available medical issues. Occupation, he worked, I think he worked for a siding company. I have it listed here somewhere, but he also was an avid runner and hiker. He was very interested in fitness and nutrition. And like I said, he was a frequent and daily visitor to the local YMCA. Experience in the wilderness, he was characterized by family and friends as a very experienced hiker and was very fit for his age. And experience in that location, he was familiar with the Shenandoah Mountain Confederate Breastworks area. He had hiked there the day before his disappearance and had reportedly lost his phone. So we'll jump right in the timeline here. At some point, Joe, do you want to pull up all trails of the trail he was on?
At some point, maybe I will. Maybe I won't.
Maybe you will. Maybe you won't.
Maybe I won't. We'll see.
All right, well, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see if you start talking a little bit nicer to me. Yeah, I'll pull it up.
All right.
Yeah, just pull up a picture of him real quick.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll get it going.
Yeah. So for those just listening, Joe has a picture of Robert on the screen.
Yeah.
So our timeline starts Sunday, November 11th of 2012. Bobby was planning to hike about 6 to 7 miles on the Confederate Breastworks Shenandoah Mountain area with a friend. And at some point during this hike, he ended up losing his cell phone and reportedly a shirt. And it turned out later a different hiker from the Charlottesville area found his phone that same day and placed it in her pack and was later trying to reach out to the owner midweek. And according to some reports that I found, his cell phone was actually found very close to the parking lot, so not very far off trail. It's now Monday, November 12th of 2012, and investigators believe Bobby returned to the trailhead. Sheriff Randy Fisher believes he likely set out on a 4-hour, roughly out and back hike around 1:15 p.m., and like Joe had mentioned in the climate section of the case, weather at that time was cold. It was overcast. There was some drizzle. Nighttime temps that week dipped into the teens, so not the kind of weather you'd want to be stuck out in, the woods. And the sheriff right away started discussing hypothermia risks and actually talked about paradoxical undressing and burrowing, which we've discussed many times on the show. Joe, maybe he'll grace us with his story of
nope, not gonna
of Colorado again.
After someone complained about hearing it for like the 15th time. Sorry, there's new listeners.
Yeah. I will never let that go. When I read that comment, I was laughing.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I do repeat things. If you're anyone who's friends with me knows I repeat stuff too much, but
yeah, it's just the early onset dementia.
Yeah, honestly, I think it probably is a problem I should have looked at. But
no, I enjoy hearing the story, and
that's nice of you to say.
We had some listeners saying they never heard it. So
yeah,
we'll have Joe tell it in detail in the Patreon episode.
Yeah, if you want to hear it, we have the Patreon episode.
It is now Thursday, November 15th of 2012. So this is when Bobby failed to report for work. He worked at Plygem, and the Staunton police initiated a missing persons report, and the Augusta County Sheriff's Office, or ACSO, checked the parking lot at the Confederate Breastworks parking lot, and that's where they found Bobby's vehicle. It was a 2001 Kia, and like I said, inside his vehicle, they found his trail pack, they found power bars, food, water bottles, flashlight, and a rain poncho and jacket. So you really get the impression that he wasn't planning to be out there long. He was just there to, look for his lost phone. So, because why else would you leave all that stuff in your car? So that evening, the formal search really began. And like I said, some reports stated that his cell phone was found very close to the trailhead, which again would explain why maybe he left all of his gear in the car. Because if you're planning on doing a pretty, long hike in this kind of environment, you'd probably want to take your backpack with you. So
this is not on all trails,
really,
at all. Like nothing even close to it. I'm gonna have to get creative. I couldn't even find it on Google Earth. The closest thing I got to is this Conservative Breastworks interpretive site, and I don't know if that's the right place. It said it was on 250, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So I think that might be. It's probably like around here. I can't imagine there's another place called Confederate Breastworks.
So
I think saying conservative Confederate Breastworks.
So the U.S. Forest Service calls it Confederate Breastworks Trail, Forest Trail number 472.
Forest Trail number 472? Or the forest? All right, I'll look that up. Keep going.
Okay.
I'll let you know when I got it.
All right, it is Thursday, November 15th of 2012. It's now evening. This would be day one of the search. So the search begins on Shenandoah Mountain, centered on the Confederate Breastworks trailhead. Early reports from search and rescue noted that it was very rugged, steep terrain, and like I said, the overnight lows were in the teens. At this time, authorities were asking the public for help, any hunters or hikers. And they were actually telling people to avoid the area so they wouldn't contaminate the scents for the canine units. So they had canine units out in this search very early. It's now Friday, November 16th. ACSO states that Bobby had likely been missing for days. Resources on scene included 35 volunteers, 8 canine units, and a Virginia State Police helicopter. Search managers continued to expand hasty and grid searches radiating from the trailhead parking area. So, unfortunately, this is a scenario where they didn't get out there looking for him for a few days, which it's critical usually to, get out in the field and look as soon as possible, especially in these conditions.
And that location was correct.
Okay.
It's this Confederate Breastworks interpretive site is the start.
Yeah.
As confirmed by the Friends of the Shenandoah Mountain page as well as the Forest Service page.
Okay.
So, yep, it just has a bunch of different names and none of them are listed appropriately.
Yeah, so I have some interesting, I found some interesting sources on the actual search methods used in this case. So they used what they called a lost person behavior profiling to set probabilities and tasking. Air sent canines, not just trailing, were deployed. Teams carried GPS so managers could layer completed tracks over maps to reduce the haystack. And like I said, a public request was made to avoid the area to protect the canine scent work. So kind of interesting.
That's cool.
Very technical and detailed search was used. It's now Saturday, November 17th of 2012. Ground teams, tracking dogs, and aircraft continue the search effort in the mountains. Media notes this is the third day of the active searching since the initiation. And this is when the Charlottesville hiker's phone find is made known to the investigators. So they just found out that a separate hiker had found his phone. Sunday, November 18th of 2012, cadaver dogs were alerted multiple times in steep laurel thicket between Shenandoah Mountain Trail and Ramsey's Draft Trail. Teams recanvassed that zone on November 19th and again later in the week. The search footprint now totaled over 4,500 acres and 50 miles of trail. And there were over 200 personnel involved across the operation, including canines, mounted, and helicopter searchers. So this is a pretty big search. 4,500 acres, 50 miles of trail. They had people on horses. They had 8 canine units, helicopters.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
For such a small area that you could be in.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, too, it's super thick, and the canopy is really thick and would be hard to see from the air. Though in November, maybe the leaves are starting to come down, so that might help a little. It's now Monday, November 19th of 2012. After 5 days of organized searching, so Thursday through Monday, officials officially suspended the search Monday night as they had no confirmed findings. The Virginia Department of Emergency Management confirmed the decision, and then news media had picked this up. So overall footprint across, the 5 days of searching, like I said, it was 4,500 acres, 50 miles of trail, 200 plus personnel. They had canine units, mounted units. They had a Virginia State Police helicopter, and their primary focus was on Confederate Breastworks, Shenandoah Mountain Trail, and Jerry's Run Trail. Maybe see if All Trails has either of those trails up. Yeah. And like I said, the searchers described the terrain as very steep, rugged, mountain laurel up to 6 feet, often forcing hand and knee searching and limited grid searches. So they really weren't able to fully do a proper search just because of the ruggedness of this area. Oh, and what do you got up here?
There it is. That's Ramsey's.
Okay.
So this is, I think, where the Shenandoah. No, that's different. But it's on 250.
There's 250.
Yeah. Okay. FR 396. What was the other one called?
It was Shenandoah Mountain Trail, Jerry's Run Trail, and Confederate Breastworks Trail, which is the shortest one.
Here is Confederate Breastworks Trail right here.
Okay.
Like it shows the trail on here, but no one's ever recorded it. All right, that's fine.
Yeah, so he went missing somewhere in this area.
In this area.
Yeah.
Okay.
We believe. We don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
That's where they found all of his stuff.
Well, his car was there. So, like I said, it was very tough to search in this area. And very interesting, though, the cadaver dogs were alerted multiple times on that Sunday. So, and they recanvassed it, but nothing was found. So now late November to December of 2012, within days of the search suspension, an experienced canine team actually returned to the area and did another 10 hours of searching on the day after Thanksgiving. And then 17 volunteers searched another 6 hours, and another ACSO canine pass occurred in December. So they stayed out there after the official search was ended and continued looking. And even after, Thanksgiving, they're out there doing that. So hats off to those people. We had more news reports. January 2013, local media was reporting on community group that was planning additional searches. It's now in July 29th of 2013, the ACSO released a missing persons update. They kind of just summarized the investigation and, lost phone. They believed he returned to the hike on 11/12. His car was found on 11/15. Multiple searches on several occasions with absolutely nothing found. No gear, no, absolutely nothing. Only thing was they had some cadaver dogs alert a few times on that Sunday. March 15th of 2014, there was a blog that kind of, it must have been from a local person that recapped the loss of his phone and, his presumed return to the trail. And they actually provided some local photos for context of the search, which was kind of interesting. And July 3rd of 2014, we had more media follow-up on the case. They reported that Bobby was off part of that week and wasn't reported missing until November 15th, which we covered in the timeline. And between November 2016 and November 2017, this was the 4 and 5 year anniversary of his disappearance. There was actually a $50,000 reward mentioned, and authorities restated their belief that he had returned to find his phone. So now this is a very interesting bit of information, and I don't understand why it took until 2017 to come out. But a local media outlet reported that at the time of his disappearance, his residence was found in total disarray with old food still inside his stove and his car in a mess. With one quoted source raising concerns about possible depression and maybe suicide.
So did it make it seem like that's not how he normally lived?
Yeah, it was mentioned as odd that his house would have been found in that way. And it was then,
okay.
It was then people online found it very interesting why this was only reported in 2017, why this wasn't, part of the original reporting on the case.
Yeah, it seems relevant.
Yeah. April 2021, this was the local YMCA named April 20th Bobby Fitzgerald Day, sharing background on his routine and the case. And again, a lot of local media kind of echoed the core facts of the case. Interestingly, May 2024, a body was found near the Confederate Breastworks in Highland County, but it was, after analysis, was not Bobby Fitzgerald. So his case still remained open.
Those always freak me out. Like, how many episodes have we done where, like, we found a body, but it's not the guy we were looking for?
Yeah, we just found a body out there.
Yeah, that's just...
And sometimes they don't even know, like, there was no missing person case.
Yeah.
They just found a body.
Yeah, that's so wild.
It's sad, too, that someone could go missing and pass away out in the wilderness. And
they're like the last of their
like
lineage.
Well, no, like no one reported him missing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they're the last one of their life. Like no
maybe
friends.
Their parents were gone, no friends, no wife, no kids.
Think about it this way: how many people do you know that you haven't had contact with since college, and you don't know how they're doing?
Quite a few.
Yeah,
yeah.
So like, if you imagine like someone could go missing and be gone, deceased.
But think of
there could be so many people that knew that person, but aren't close enough to like check in on them.
But like even a job, like you don't show up for though. You know how many jobs are going to
we have
report someone missing.
We have employees ghost all the time,
and you don't file missing person
especially
case.
now. Yeah, it's just like all right, I guess they didn't want to come to work anymore.
Yeah,
like,
but yeah, I always find that sad and kind of scary. Like you said, they'll be searching for someone and just find a body.
Yeah, it's very messed up.
Yeah, so and now, even stranger with this case was May 2025. There was a different man named Scott Fitzgerald who went missing in the Shenandoah Mountain area and then was found.
All right. So they got one of the Fitzgeralds.
Yeah, the guy that they found was, I believe, 33 years old. So
yeah, when I was looking through, I had to like switch screens because I have it showing now. All of a sudden I was scrolling through and it's like Fitzgerald found. And I was like, Mike, I hope this ends with found.
Yeah, no. So no.
Yeah, Mr. Fitzgerald has been located and is safe. And I'm like, what? And I open it up. I'm like, this is a different guy.
What are the odds?
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, this is not the guy we're doing the episode on.
No.
This is Scott Wayne Fitzgerald. He's 33, May 16th, 2025 he was last seen. He's okay.
Looks like he was probably a hunter and got lost.
Is there a lot of Fitzgeralds in Virginia?
I don't know, but what are the chances two of them go missing in the same area?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, pretty good, apparently.
I guess. So, other note I had on this case was no itinerary. His pack was left in the car. Date uncertainty. So we know his car.
His pack's left in the car.
Yep.
No itinerary. His phone was found near the car, you said, right?
By a separate hiker.
Where was his shirt found? Does it mention that?
No mention of the shirt.
Okay, all right.
So it's just, it's kind of just strange. And, his car is there, but, and his phone was found near the parking lot, but there's no evidence he went further than the parking lot, really. So we don't know. We don't know what happened to him. They never found him. So what are the main theories? And this case is still open to this day. Unsolved. Not a single thing of his was found outside of the phone in the car.
Do you want to know how many people are named Fitzgerald in Virginia?
Let's hear it.
According to mynamestats.com, there's about 5,218 Fitzgeralds.
Yeah.
Which puts the estimate at 62.66 people named Fitzgerald per 100,000 Virginians. So
now, is that more than normal?
I doubt it. I don't know. Is that is that a lot?
Is that a lot?
Short answer, it's a solid amount, but not wild. That's what ChatGPT told me.
All right. So, likely theories.
I'm going to use that. It's a solid amount, but it's not wild.
You have kind of like a sassy, like AI talking to you.
I have a whole personality. My ChatGPT is a whole personality.
All right. So I'll go through theories that law enforcement floated at the time, and then we'll get into our theories and then wrap it up. So the most likely theory that law enforcement was talking about, and they even started talking about this early on in the search, was hypothermia after getting lost. So the main reasons why this theory fits with this case is he is, like we said, believed to have returned alone on the 12th to look for his lost phone. His car was found at the parking lot. He was solo traveling in the cold, wet, windy conditions on a high ridge, very exposed. Media reports at the time noted it was cold, overcast, drizzling. It got very cold into the teens at night. These are classic hypothermia conditions. And
You want to hear a story about hypothermia?
Maybe later. And multiple cadaver dogs were alerted, and they did, recanvass areas, but no remains were found. And a lot of the searchers said this is consistent with how difficult and brushy the terrain was, and how someone who was hypothermic could have gone missing. So why this theory might not fit perfectly is they did do an extensive ground and air search operation. They had 8 canine units out there, 4,500 acres, 50 miles of trail, 200 people. They didn't locate anything, no remains, nothing of them, which, slightly is against he just collapsed near the trail or something. So, next theory that was floated was a traumatic accident. We talk about this all the time. Obviously, the reasons why this would potentially fit this case is the ridge quickly gives way to steep, rugged terrain. In the Ramsey's Draft Wilderness was described as rugged and steep by the search teams. Off-trail slips could funnel a person into drainages with dense mountain vegetation. That would make it really hard for search and rescue to find them from the air or from, up above on a trail. And canines were alerting in the area, and they recanvassed the zone, which, some search managers were assessing downhill movement from the ridge as a plausible theory. So based on how the dogs were alerting and the terrain and the direction they were alerting, they were thinking like maybe he was attempting to go downhill or fell downhill. So why this theory doesn't work kind of fits into the first theory is they had, repeated multi-day coverage with helicopters, canines, all of that stuff, and no definitive evidence, clothing, gear remains were found. So, he could have been just cloaked by the dense vegetation in the area, which is why they didn't find him, but why the dogs were alerting. So,
I got to be honest, and I know they're professionals and saying it doesn't seem that crazy steep compared to other images. Like when I'm going through images on this trail.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying it's not wild compared to some of the other areas I've seen with like steep cliffs and drop-offs.
Well, yeah, it's not like hiking in Colorado on a 14.
But that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like we've done stories where people have found a lot more in way worse areas than this.
Yeah.
That's what's kind of...
I mean, you could, what's the place by Madison, Wisconsin? Devil's
Lake. That's kind of what it feels like.
But I could see somebody in a storm in the winter, getting hypothermia and, falling off something and hurting themselves. And it's pretty thick there.
Yeah, but it's so easy to...
but Devil's Lake is far less remote than this place. Yeah,
this is more remote, but I'm not seeing anything. I like I said, I would love comments from people who live in this area that have hiked it to like give me a real...
And look up maybe the Shenandoah Trail. Maybe, some of the descriptions are the trails go over ridge lines.
Yeah, it could just be this one.
And I can tell you from, and this, when we've gone hiking and you're actually there and you're looking over the trails and stuff, it's steep. And then when you go back and look at pictures, it doesn't do it justice. You're kind of looking at it and you're like, oh, it kind of doesn't even look like the place you hiked.
No, that's not true. I'm right.
You're right. Okay.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Where it could be worse than it's looking at
I've
pictures.
looked at lots of old hiking pictures from, Glacier and...
Yeah, you're like, it's way more beautiful
Canyonlands, and I remember it being far steeper than, like, the pictures do justice.
Yeah.
So maybe
All right. No, I'll give it to you on that one.
I mean, it does look the vegetation looks incredibly thick.
It is thick.
Yeah.
There is that. But, like, see, this is where...
I agree with the pictures we're looking at now don't look...
I'm biased because I just don't go off trail. So even if you can't see, to me, it's actually so thick it keeps funneling you on the trail. You'd have to like very specifically be fighting and bushwhacking off trail in these situations.
Unless you have hypothermia and aren't thinking correctly.
But even then, I feel like I'm not going to tell the story, but it's not like they just wandered off trail. They followed the trail, just the wrong way.
Yeah.
So, unless there's a drainage and he thought it was a trail and just followed that, I could see that
at night.
Yep.
He's cold and wet, and it's night. I mean, a lot of these pictures, it
looks like in northern Wisconsin,
like
wooded
that.
area.
If like you fell off something like that, that would hurt you.
Yeah.
Or like this trail in the middle here, like.
Yeah, that guy right there.
Yeah, some of these look pretty.
Okay, I don't know. I'll give it to you. This is the Shenandoah Trail,
and I can tell you from hiking up in northern Wisconsin, like the Nicolet National Forest, it doesn't have anything mountainous, but it has hundreds of miles of crisscrossing trails. And if you got confused and started wandering around, you would go deep into the forest, and probably no one would find you. So.
Is that a threat?
Yeah.
Maybe. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So,
all right. I retort or retract.
Yeah. If George Washington National Forest is anything like the National Forest in northern Wisconsin, even if it doesn't have a lot of terrain hazards, there's a lot of ways you could just get completely lost out of the search zone and not be found.
Yeah.
And if there's coyotes, bears, things are going to disturb the remains at some point. And,
I actually think you said it best. It's pretty dang remote. So, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. I still have it doesn't change my theory that I'm thinking. But go on.
Okay.
Go on.
Another theory was medical emergency. So why this theory fits. So he was 60. He was hiking alone in cold, wet, windy conditions on uneven terrain. A sudden medical event are standard hypotheses for search and rescue teams when there's no foul play indicated and no phone, which would have prevented a 911 call. And, a collapse off the main trailhead, step off to maybe relieve oneself, check a viewpoint, or pursue a lost phone could put him out of view, in the dense vegetation. Now, why this doesn't work is the same reason we've said this for all the theories is they did a really intense search. And I think out of all of them, medical emergency would be the least likely because, like, say you're just hiking down the trail and you have a widowmaker, you would just collapse on trail.
Yeah.
And they'd find you.
Totally agree on that one.
So who knows? Might not be a theory. So two more theories that are less likely. So a hunting related incident. So why this could potentially work for this case is, like Joe mentioned, November is a core period for deer season in Virginia, and local reporting at the time noted hunting activity was going on in the area, and the sheriff and retrospective coverage flagged the context of an active muzzleloader season that month. But the probability of this is very low. It's not zero, but, could something have happened where he was shot by, a hunter? Possibly. There were no reports of gunfire complaints in that area. There was no recovered evidence, of someone being shot or of, shotgun shells or anything like that. So authorities mention this, but it really isn't a theory that really has any weight to it. And I guess the final two theories are voluntary disappearance. So this one we always mention, investigators kind of, focused on accidental missing hiker framework. He lost his phone. He believed to have returned to find it, failed to report to work. Public profiles highlight, his steady routine and strong community ties, which all goes against a voluntary disappearance. And none of the official recaps suggest, a planned departure. And, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. So, it's a theory, but it really has no weight.
That's your boom goes the dynamite for the show.
Boom goes the dynamite. And finally, the suicide, I guess you could call a theory only because of the one news media article report of his house being in disarray, his car being a mess, no itinerary, nothing. But most people didn't put a lot of weight in that just because he had strong ties in the community. He was very fit and active, and everyone that knew him had no impression that he was going through something. Obviously, doesn't mean he wasn't, but based on all the evidence, suicide is a very low probability for this case. So with all that being said, what is your theory, Joe?
Well, I feel like my theory is also like a Hollywood, like off the deep end.
Okay.
And I think it has to do with some of the Virginia facts. I want to know what his career was for most of his life, because I want to know if he was like a spook.
Oh, okay.
And he's been retired.
Yeah.
But just like in the movies, like some file gets open, he was tied to something back in the day. His house was all ransacked.
Part of like Iran Contra or something in the
80s. Something. And they came and scooped him up and like made sure there's some, like all the evidence is gone. And
okay.
Like dropped his phone maybe on purpose, and whoever found it didn't figure the signs out. Like he's in Virginia, that's by the Pentagon.
Yeah, I mean, I read
it's just the same state as the Pentagon.
The largest employer in Virginia is the federal government. So I mean, that would be the state where if you're a ex like military special forces or like,
that's kind of what I'm wondering.
Where
is
you
like,
could live.
It's kind of a clean disappearance, but like the house thing seems to stand out for me.
So like he was involved with something, and they ransacked his house and then made it look like he disappeared hiking.
Or they just disappeared a 60-year-old guy because they're like, no one's going to find anything.
Yeah.
Just blatant. And here's the thing. Why I think the ransacked house, and why I'm calling it a ransacked house, is if he's like, an exerciser, he's healthy, he has like routines.
Yeah.
Rarely do those people have a messy environment.
Yeah.
If you have the, mental fortitude to keep workout routines and be in shape, you're not the type of person that like lives in squalor.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have a neat and tidy space because that's the type of life you lead. So it seems like somebody went through his stuff.
Yeah.
And I find that odd.
All right. I don't know if I'm all the way there with you, but
how many Fitzgeralds work at the Pentagon? Let's see if it answers me. My phone starts on fire.
Yeah. You're on a list now.
Sorry, couldn't find anybody in the Pentagon. I have to do a FOIA. You think they'll give it to us?
That would be probably the funniest FOIA. Could you supply us with every
Hold on. I promise I'm not getting political, but I feel like, you ever like hear about companies in history that have like massive failures, and it's usually at some like really random failure point that no one ever thought? Like we submit a FOIA for all the Fitzgeralds, and it like somehow automatically gets processed, and they give us like a list of employees from the Pentagon, like top secret stuff that we should not have, just gets sent to us via FOIA request.
Yeah, well, maybe you should try it and see what happens.
Because then I'm going to go disappearing in the Shenandoah National Forest.
We're going to find your car up in the Nicolet National Forest.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going the Hollywood route.
Other than that, like, none of the other ones really felt were good in like a good explanation, like other than like he's not there.
Yeah.
And why is he not there, but his stuff is? It's they picked him up there.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm just using the they.
Yeah.
They went to the house, got whatever they needed from the house, and maybe he went up to the mountains to hide or meet somebody. He was doing a drop. I don't know. and they ambushed him.
Yeah.
And he gone.
Yeah, okay. Well,
honestly, that's my theory.
I mean,
and I understand how wild it is.
The only thing I can think of is law enforcement believes he went back there to find his phone, and maybe he went back.
They made it look like that.
Yeah, maybe he just went back to hike again and got lost or got cold and got hypothermia and just wandered away out of the search zone. You would think in a national forest in Virginia, highly populated area, that somebody would find remains at some point.
Yep.
If it's near the trail, which they haven't yet. people online were speculating that he never was even there.
It's a solid theory, but it's not wild.
I mean, he looks very physically fit. I could definitely, maybe he was in some kind of like,
closed them all already. But, I agree with you.
Some kind of intelligence role or something like that. I mean,
yeah, let's profile him and see if he looks like a company man.
A company man.
I know all the vernaculars.
Let's see some images of him.
Let's see. Maybe.
I mean, if you said, oh, he used to be a CIA operative, I would just looking at him like, maybe, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I see him at some in the Middle East in one of our...
I don't know, would a redheaded person fit in the Middle East?
Not fitting in, but like working definitely at one of our embassies.
Okay.
He seems like
he's not doing undercover work.
No. He's not special forces, I don't think. I think he's a suit. But still work for the company.
All right, well, that's Hollywood. I guess I will bring us back to Earth and say that it's more, I think the conditions were tough. Hypothermia is probably a likely cause.
Yeah.
It wasn't extremely cold where it's going to kill you in like a couple hours. Like, if he's a physically fit guy, he could have gotten hypothermia and wandered around for a day and got, incredibly deep into the woods or out of the search zone.
Okay.
And maybe he wandered off trail. Then animals scavenged the remains over the years, which is why nothing's really been found now. And in that kind of dense vegetation, every grow season, everything comes down, like it could get covered up.
I'm like upset because you're convincing me.
I mean, your theory
I want it to be my theory, but
I want to believe.
I want to believe. I do. I want to believe, but at the end of the day, I think you're probably more right. Like, they said kind of like those drainage ditches or offshoots. And if you are hypothermic, even if you're not doing the paradoxical stuff, but like you're starting to get a little confused.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you just make a wrong turn.
You think like this is down, like heading back, and it's actually a drainage.
And your just condition progressively gets worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Remember the TV show Homeland?
I do.
I mean, I was thinking of the TV because, it's Virginia. Pentagon,
all the things.
CIA, Langley, Virginia. That's CIA.
See, he seems like the type of guy that could be like all mixed up in that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if it isn't hypothermia, I think it's that.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. You're a good friend.
Oh, thank you, Joe.
Indulging in my craziness.
Yes. So, very interesting case. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, this one I think people will be divided. I want to know what everyone thinks, but
we could do a FOIA request to see if he worked at the Pentagon.
Yeah, just see if... Yeah, see... I kind of want to do a FOIA request to the Pentagon.
Yeah.
We're going to get a visit paid to us. Like, why do you care so much? Like, we want to find Robert Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Actually, if he was a company man, they'd be like, why do you want to find Robert Fitzgerald? Like, okay, we don't anymore.
No, we don't.
We definitely don't.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Take us off the list,
yeah,
please.
For the love of God, pretend like this didn't happen. We're just podcasters. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks again for tuning into our show. We appreciate all of you for listening and sharing locations known with your friends and family. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn, where you can find the videos of each episode. Not on LinkedIn, on YouTube. But also, if you would like to support the show monetarily, please visit our website or Facebook store to buy some sweet, sweet swag. And additionally, you can subscribe to our Patreon account and YouTube and Apple, where you'll have access to special events and additional shows for paid customers only. Lastly, when enjoying the beauty of nature, whether backpacking, camping, or simply taking a walk, always remember to leave no trace. Thanks, and we will see you all next time.